What's up, guys? Hope you all are doing well. We are officially back from Atlantic City, back from King of the Table 13. I had my very first arm wrestling super match versus Eddie Hall. And if you have not checked out that video, we did post it here on the channel. Some of the match, all the pins, some of the behind the scenes, really fun video. So make sure to check that out if you have not already. So let's get my thoughts on the match now that it is done, the dust has settled, and everything has kind of calmed down. This was an interesting match because there was a lot of talking, a lot of buildup going into the match. Obviously, the match happened, and then everything that happened afterwards. So I'm going to kind of run through all of that. In the buildup, what I will say is Eddie and Neil Pickup very much were talking and saying, look, Eddie's got no chance.
Our team slogan is hashtag Eddie has got no chance.
We've already lost, sir.
I care a lot. I just think I'm going to lose.
Well, everybody knows we've got no chance. Everybody knows we've got no chance.
We do our team mantra. Okay. Eddie has no chance.
They were talking about the limited amount of time that they had in training. And I got a real kick out of that because Eddie has, for sure, been on an arm wrestling table before. Even when he came out here to visit me, he was giving me pointers on the table, kind of how to move his elbow.
I've done a bit with Neil, so like that pull you're on about,
Yeah.
you're doing it, you're keeping your elbow there.
So keep your elbow forward.
No, so do it.
Where you at?
So you're doing it, but you're keeping your elbow like at the front of the pad.
Got it, so bring it back.
So yeah, but do it as you pull.
Okay.
So I'd pull, and as you're lifting my arm up, move your
that's
arm to
nice.
the back of the pad.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
see the difference?
Yeah, I like
so
that.
do that.
He definitely has been coached before by Neil. How much of that he retained, I don't know. But this to say that he had never ever done anything on an arm wrestling table before 8 weeks leading up to this super match is complete nonsense. So I had a game plan going in to the match. I actually thought that Eddie would want to get into a strap because I felt like he would know my hand was stronger, my wrist was stronger, and I was pretty confident that, Neil and him would want to get into a strap for Eddie. That was not the case. That's not really how, the match played out. Round one, we got on the table, set up, and my first move every single time, what I was going to do was not put a lot of pressure through my fingers. I was gonna come back, hit back, and then I felt like we would probably slip at that point, and we didn't slip. Eddie, hang on, I actually elbow fouled first, and then I got another foul for moving in the referee's grip. So it was 2 fouls, I lost round one. Very not planned. I was disappointed by that. It really frustrated me, to be completely honest with you guys. And I felt like coming out round two, I needed to make things right and, get that out of my head, just get back focused. And, in round two, I did the exact same thing. Eddie held on to me. I was able to climb back over his hand and then put him down pretty easily in round two. So we're tied up 1-1. Same thing happened in round three. Round four, we got to a point where I was able to eventually slip out. Which I was actually pretty excited about. So I wanted to get to the strap because in my training, I had really felt very comfortable in the strap. I felt like I had a lot of power in the strap. And when the strap was applied by the head referee, it was very, very loose. I asked the head referee to tighten the strap, and because the buckle was actually on Eddie's hand and not on mine, I didn't get to make the call whether the strap got tightened up. Eddie said he didn't want it tighter.
Listen to the referee.
No, that's fine.
And so we had to go with the strap very, very loose. And a loose strap is not something that I was prepared for. It's not something that I had really came across in training because every single time we were using the strap, we made sure it was nice and tight and snug. So I wasn't able to quite load the strap the same way that I had in training. Maybe I was thinking too much about that, but Eddie was able to get in the strap, get out on my hand a little bit, and I got into a position where I was holding him in the strap. at that point, I had a decision to make. I could either, fight through that, or, what we had kind of talked about was potentially taking an elbow foul if something like that happened. So that's what I decided to do. I decided to hold here, purposely slide my elbow off the pad, get the elbow foul, and then hopefully get a reset. And I would have asked for the strap to be redone at that point. So that was what went through my head, because I was having really no problem holding Eddie in that position. So I slid off of the pad, went down, and then they actually called it where it was an elbow foul in a losing position. I was actually pretty disappointed with that, because I felt like I could have fought differently there. Anyway, you got to put it behind you. So moving on, we're now tied up 2-2. Going into round number 5, I felt like, okay, I'm going to go back to, what worked in round 2 and 3, stay out of the strap and just dominate in the hand position. Did the same thing. Coming to round number 6, which, unless Eddie won, was going to be the final round. I did the same thing, executed, got him down, above the pad, held him there, told him to fight me. Fight me! And, he gave up in that position very, very quickly. So I put him down, ended up 4-2. I won the match. Now, this is not exactly the way that I thought that this was going to play out. There was some antics during the match. A lot of people have reached out to me, made comments, etc., about what Eddie said and did during the match. Did he go too far? What I will say is things escalated very, very quickly during the match. I think that Eddie was trying to be a showman. He was trying to put on a show for sure, as we both were, for the crowd, for everybody, that was tuning in. And we definitely did that. I mean, a lot of people were excited about it. I think that at certain points, Eddie did cross the line. And, there was a point in the match where Eddie and I crossed on the outside of the table. And, we're kind of getting in each other's face. There was a lot of tension. I for sure was, kind of past that point where, things could have definitely escalated very, very quickly. I think if, there was potentially some type of bumping, something like that happening, it could have got very bad very quick, but we were both in the zone. And, even though Eddie was crossing a line, I mean, it's one of these things where I was fired up. He was fired up. We're in an intense situation. And, some of the things that came out of his mouth, I felt like were too far. And that was just what it was, right? Like whether he would do that with somebody else or he felt more comfortable with me, I guess that's kind of to be determined. But we worked through it. I stayed focused on what I had to get done and ended up winning. Now, the question is, was I happy with the win and the way that I executed? To answer that question, completely not. I was not happy with the way that I executed. And of course, winning is, you're going to take winning no matter how it looks, no matter how it comes out. But I wanted to go in and execute much better. And, in hindsight, I could have 100% dominated Eddie's hand and wrist. I didn't have to try to get out the back. I could have just locked in and literally taken Eddie straight down. I didn't have to get in that position and try to climb back over the top. I could have stayed knuckle high, really, put a lot of pressure back and up. And I don't think Eddie would have been able to deal with that in any way, shape, or form. Something I have learned, this week we've already got back on the table, addressed those things, and I will improve from this. And, I think that it's important to understand that maybe the way that I trained could have improved. I probably could have focused on some more of the basics first. And with arm wrestling, the natural thing and the natural tendency is you want to get on the table and go all out, go full bore and arm wrestle, right? Because it's fun. The thing is, I think looking back, there's some small technical things that I need to become more efficient at, that I need to get better at. And I can accept that and understand that. And, Eddie coming in the match, being coached by Neil, I think they probably focused more on those simple things. And you have to give credit. I mean, Eddie got in certain positions, he was moving pretty well. And all of that, came from the coaching where he was working with Neil and they were probably drilling a lot of that stuff where I probably was not doing enough of that type of stuff. So, you know, you have to take a step back. You have to look at the total performance. And, you know, I think that for people out there, you know, people that I worked with, whatever, leading up to this, I think it's important to understand that if I was satisfied with what I did in this first super match, there would be a big problem because that's simply not who I am. I'll take the win for sure, but I want it to be better. I want it to be executed better. I want it to be done at a higher level. So this is only motivating to me. I'm not satisfied in any way, shape, or form with what I showed. I was capable of more. I'm fully confident in that. And you know, when it comes to the strap, for example, you know, that's something where a lot of people have said, well, Brian, you got in the strap. Eddie was better in the strap. With the loose strap, I will give you that. Maybe he was better in a loose strap with a tight strap. Who knows? Who knows what would have happened? I mean, I honestly would love to figure out what Eddie felt like in a snug strap that was locked in, you know, because I think he would find out there's a different level of power that I would be able to produce there. But maybe we'll find that out in the future. What I will say is we did have a bet. We did have a bet on this match. Eddie and I shook on this bet, and we bet an arm wrestling table.
The loser has to buy the winner a nice arm wrestling table.
All right.
You've got a picture.
On who was going to win. So the loser had to buy an arm wrestling table for the winner. So that's not something I have forgotten, and I will be hitting Eddie up to collect that. So I think coming out of the match, a lot of different things, a new experience, a lot of learning, a lot of areas where, you know, I feel like I can improve, but it was fun. And I think that that's one thing that can't be underestimated. If it's fun, if it's enjoyable, if it's something that I enjoy doing, I'm going to want to do it more. And I definitely had a really good time with this. I think, you know, the fans had a very good time. Everybody that tuned in, you know, there's a lot of really positive feedback. You know, I think what Eddie and myself brought to the sport of arm wrestling, and even though it was early for both of us to get on the table and do a super match like that, I think the outcome was a win for the sport, you know, win for both of us. And, you know, I don't know where Eddie will want to go with arm wrestling in the future, if it's something he will want to consider training and coming back to. You know, obviously he's a character. People are going to enjoy watching him. And I think that with, you know, some more training, him and I both could definitely get to a better level. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And, you know, let me know in the comments what you thought. You know, did Eddie go too far? How was the match? You know, did you enjoy it? If maybe you haven't watched arm wrestling before this, and, you know, maybe it's something you kind of are getting into and will follow along with my journey into this sport. So I hope you all are doing amazing. I hope you enjoyed the match. And for now, go out and be great. We'll check you guys later.